Hello and welcome to Retrotainment. Back again with my co-host, capital C, capital O, Greg. How are you doing, buddy?
What's happening, homie?
Nothing much, nothing much. And we're also joined by the host of the Sherlock Reel and our former champion of the Retrotainment Recast, former champion.
You're cutting deep there, lad. You're cutting deep.
Cutting deep here, cutting deep. But as the champion, I get to do that.
That's a good play on words for the movie that's incoming.
It does. But how are you doing, Carl?
I'm all good, all good. Ready to talk Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Love this film, love this director.
Yeah, this was your film choice, and it's an absolutely cracking one for our August action August genre, because I don't think this film can be described as anything except action.
Yes, especially if you compare it to the second one. It's a lot more actiony than the second one.
This one's all action all the time.
The second one is more of a storytelling. This one, although there is a story to it, the story is based around action rather than the way in the second one where the action is based around the story, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So obviously we're releasing this today, and unfortunately the sad news came out just yesterday about the passing of someone who is kind of a minor character in this film,
but very influential.
But
pivotal.
Pivotal character nonetheless. And obviously they played Hattori Hanzo in this. Sonny Chiba unfortunately passed away due to what has been said to be COVID reasons. But whatever the reasons,
very sad.
Very sad. A huge actor, and I seen it there recently just online of Keanu Reeves being introduced to him at some panel show he was on, and right. he's Keanu Reeves, like one of Keanu Reeves' all-time favorite actors, and he loses his shit like
really?
with being introduced to him.
This being one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Like
fanboy now.
Yeah, he fanboys out hugely.
Don't forget, Sonny Chiba is also a man that's worked with Bruce Lee.
Exactly. Yeah,
I mean?
Yeah. Like he had a great career, to be honest.
68 years old, wasn't he?
82.
Or 82. I was 80. Way off. Sorry. He was probably 68 when he made this film.
A 68-year acting career or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, very sad that he passed away, and I'm happy that we at least had this film recorded just to
as a little tribute.
as a little tribute to him, because as we said, he's quite pivotal in this film.
He's hilarious in this film as well.
Yeah, he does brilliantly. He does do brilliantly in it. Obviously, the film is Kill Bill for anyone who can't realize the film that we're talking about. I usually try to go with one of the more iconic scenes as my background. I don't know if this would be considered the most iconic scene in this film. I would say the more iconic one is of the bride standing at the bottom of the stairs covered in blood with all the dead bodies around her.
The crazy 88s.
The crazy 88s bit, yeah.
This is fairly iconic, though.
This is probably my favorite scene.
I'd say this is probably one of the more iconic ones than the crazy 88, because I think it's to do with the outfit that she has on that you know her from.
Yeah, but she has that on when she's fighting the crazy 88s as well. So
no, I know that, yeah, but like it's the outfit that people remember. Like if you just showed a picture of her face over the ground, like and cut out the bottom of it, it'd be very hard to pick it.
Possibly. I think this scene for me is just aesthetically very pleasing.
It is.
My favorite scene is when she opens the door and it's the first shot you get of the garden, and you don't see Oren in it at all. It's just the garden. That's my favorite scene from this film. Well, aesthetically wise, it's my favorite scene. It's just such an amazing shot. But
I love in this scene as well, just Tarantino messing with the audience, because he's put you on this big thrill ride. It's right at the end of the film. He knows people going to the cinema.
Yeah.
Guzzling down the popcorn, drinking their drinks the whole way, and then he has a really silent part in this, and he has just the water trickling. and he had said he purposely put that in because he knows people were in the cinema, didn't want to miss it, and they'd all be sitting there uncomfortable, wanting to go to the toilet while that scene was happening. He purposely put that in there for it.
Something.
And it's the exact sort of thing, if someone tells you he's done that, you'd be like, yeah, he would, he'd do that.
Arguably one of the main reasons he's probably one of, if not the best director.
He's up there.
He's definitely notable. He's definitely notable. I don't know if I'd say he's the best director because I think he's
certainly probably the most creative-minded director.
I think he's quite one-dimensional in his style of directing.
A couple of films, he's won best screenplay a couple times.
He has, but I think he's quite one-dimensional as a director. Like, it's very obvious that it's a Tarantino film. Like, very, very obvious from the outset of a film. Like, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but that's just like, I would know this is a Tarantino film if I sat down to watch it, sort of thing.
It's the same. I'd find the same with Scorsese. You can tell.
Yeah, true.
A Scorsese movie really out now. But to me, that's a sign of a very, very good director. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose it is. I suppose there's an argument to be made to say that maybe it shouldn't be so obvious that you're the director, because the director shouldn't be the famous person when it comes to the film.
I would have argued. I would have agreed with that if it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I think
now it's different.
I think today we're in the age of directors. That people go and there's no movie stars anymore.
Yeah, true.
People don't go to see movies for the actors. They go and see the movies for the directors these days.
True. Yeah, no, that is true. But obviously, Kill Bill released over here on the 17th of October 2003. I still remember when this came out, and I was a huge fan of it then.
See it in the cinema.
I think if I tried to go to any other cinema, I was probably too young. Bray Cinema, there was
no age limit.
The age limit was that you sent one of your friends up to look in, because the foyer on the ground floor was, you walked in and directly there was where you bought your tickets, and then the steps up to the cinema, which I actually think it's a great setup for a cinema, except for like the cinema itself, because how the hell are they going to tell who went up and who came back down? It's a terrible idea for them, but for everyone else, it's a great concept.
Or it didn't help when the fire escape door was open on the left hand side in the alleyway, because you just walk up the fire escape and you're straight into the foyer.
Yeah, exactly. But the trick was to send somebody up to look in and just walk past and just look in. Oh, who's on? Ah, yeah, they won't care what age we are. We get the ticket off them.
Because what they used to, the doors, they used to have about 8 doors, and they were, the 2 paneled glass doors.
Yeah.
So glass on top, glass on bottom, a little bit of metal in the middle, so you could see who was on. Now, it used to be really hard because the way the ticket stand was, it used to drop down.
Yeah.
If they were sitting down, you'd have to be like, well, who the fuck is in there?
Yeah. But
I was too young to be able to go and see it in the cinema.
I would have been if it hadn't been for Bray Cinema, and thankfully Bray Cinema, God rest it, and I wish it was still there, but
£4 a ticket.
Make sure you had your shoes tied super tight, because otherwise they were getting left on that floor from the stickiness of it.
Yeah. And it wasn't drink.
Who knows what it was. Ratings wise, we always take a quick look. So out of 238 critics, which is I think one of the highest critic ratings we've ever seen on this, 85%.
Yeah.
That's you'd have to put it up there, yeah.
Yeah. Shockingly, audience score 81%. I am shocked that the audience score is lower than the critic score in this.
Not enough
I'm not. Critics will love this film because of, well, from what you can see behind you, it's very aesthetically pleasing. The way Tarantino goes about it, the dialogue, the script, everything about it, it plays into critics' hands, I think.
It does, but I'm still surprised that, because the audience could be anybody, I suppose, really watching it. So there could be people going back and rating it now and saying it doesn't look great graphic wise from something here or there or something, I suppose. But usually you would see audience scores higher than critics on films such as this, where it's actually a good film. There is a lot of ones where you'd have high critic scores, but the film has a low actual score because it's built for critics.
I'd be very interested to see if that's like most of Tarantino's films.
It could be, yeah. Maybe people just don't like maybe there's people who just don't like Tarantino.
We haven't covered a whole lot of Tarantino on this anyway.
Not yet. I'm sure we'll get around to them. Box office 180.9 million. So a decent hitter for the first. I'd say the second is
higher.
significantly higher because this leaves you so much of a story open. I'd say
Oh,
people
yeah.
were flooding in to see the but in terms of this, like even the way this opens is one of my favorite opening scenes. The black and white, and all you hear is the heavy breathing as it gives the list of names. You know, like 1, the bride, or sorry, 1, Orenishi, and then Lucy Liu, 2, and like it gives the list of the names of the characters, which is the people she's after, and then has her name and the names of all the other people that are in it. And
their nicknames.
I love Michael Madsen, Bud.
Yeah, but the whole time you can just hear this heavy breathing, and you're like, "What the hell is that?" And then you get into the scene, and it's in black and white, and you see her lying on the ground, you know, blood in her mouth and on her lips and everything, and you just
Face
see
cut to bits.
Yeah, and then you see the boots just like walking along the ground, just a slow thud, like a real methodical sort of thud, and then you obviously have the dialogue between herself and we can tell it's Bill because he takes out the little handkerchief that has Bill written on it, which I thought was a nice little touch. Because imagine carrying around a handkerchief with your name on it, like that's a real boss move, isn't it? Like, you know.
If I had the money to do that, I'd do it.
Yeah, exactly.
you want to look cool. That's how you do it.
Yeah, it's a real sort of boss move. But obviously, you know, he tells her that he takes no, you know, this isn't him at his sadistic. This is him at his most misogynistic, or not misogynistic, masochistic. And then she gets the line out, Bill, it's your bit, and then gunshot to the head. The song after this is just incredible as well. The Bang Bang, You Shot Me Down.
Oh my god, fantastic!
What a song! And it's such a it just the way it plays in. It's such a slow song as well. Directly after you've just seen somebody get shot point blank in the head, like execution style. It works so well for me.
After getting her face kicked in.
Well, we don't know what's happened to her prior to that, but yeah, like we do learn.
well, by looking at her, you know.
Yeah, looking at her, something's happened, all right. Yeah, but that not just this song, but this whole film in terms of the music of this film, unbelievable. And none of it is like a lot of films where they have these big, like they have actual lyrical songs and not just a score. They're popular songs that have already been famous from elsewhere, like their pop songs and whatnot. This film, bar maybe one song, I think, are all fairly unknown songs until this film comes around.
Yeah,
it's true, but I mean that's again down to Tarantino.
That's what I mean.
Again.
Yeah, it's so good the way he does it.
Look at any of his films; he does that with his soundtracks are all phenomenal.
Yeah,
Pulp Fiction's arguably one of the best.
Even Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah. Like for me, this is one of the best, and it's not a scene that's come up yet, and it's not something that actually happens in the film. But the ode to Orenishi on the CD, I don't know if you've ever listened to it.
No, can't say I have.
It's been a while since I've listened to the soundtrack. Actually,
it's the one that describes it comes directly after the scene where her heritage is discussed at the
the anime scene, is it?
No, the heritage one. Do you know when she cuts
the heritage when he chops his head off? Yeah.
It comes directly after that, but it's not in the film.
Okay.
It's only on the CD, and it's just somebody singing like about her heritage sort of thing, and it's so good. I can't believe it. I always thought it was in the film, but seriously, if you haven't heard it, just look it up. It's Ode to Orenishi, and it's so good.
But like there with Tarantino saying about him, like when you think back, like he started the movie process for this back with Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
The scene where she's talking to, where Uma Thurman's talking to John Travolta, and she's like, I played an assassin.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Like
assassin. Like that was 94, 95 when Pulp Fiction came out.
Yeah, you're talking nearly 10 years before he decided to actually make this.
He knew exactly how he was doing it too.
Yeah, he did. It's just planning at its best, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's why I was saying he's arguably probably one of the best, if not the best, and most creative director.
Yeah, and the thing is that when you watch Pulp Fiction, if you're not thinking about it and you haven't heard that before, it's something that, you know, you could just gloss over. Like, oh, she's just talking about her career and how she was an actress. You'd never even think about it.
Yeah,
and then once you hear it, you just like,
Bruce Willis down with the samurai sword.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
It's such great, you know. And if he decided not to make a film like this, you know, he's planted the seeds, and if he decides not to make it, it's just a throwaway line.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that you have to do. Like, you don't have to do anything off it. Once we're finished with the opening scene, this is something I love. It's kind of like a story. So it comes up chapter 1, and chapter 1 is just called 2. And you're just kind of like, that's a weird name for a chapter. And we just see her pulling up to this house, this
suburban house,
this suburban house with, you know, kids' toys out on the grass, and you know, just a real nice looking sort of house. And
do you ever notice when they pull up to these kind of houses in movies, when there's going to be a fight or someone's getting killed, all the toys are outside. That bike is usually on its, like a tricycle. It's usually either upside down or on its side. Like, it's never left normally.
No, it gets knocked over, you know. But yeah,
to show kids live there.
I love that she gets there, and you know, she's in. We don't really see much of the car. We just see it's this big flashy, you know, yellow car with like flames on it, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
that's a bit weird. Who's pulling up in this? And then obviously it's the bride. And I love, she goes up and she knocks on the door, and it just looks like a normal suburban mom comes out to the door, and she's just like, oh, I wasn't expecting you. You're so early. And she just stops dead, and she's like, oh.
The best thing there would have been if she had a minivan or something parked in the driveway.
Yeah. But it goes from here. It just goes from 0 to 100 like straight away. The two of them just batter each other around that house.
Which is a scene I completely forgot about.
Yeah.
After on the rewatch, you know, I originally thought, all right, it's not much action in this film until she gets to the Crazy 88, and I thought she dealt with Vivica A. Fox quite easily, but I completely forgot about that fight.
Yeah.
And it's vicious.
Yeah, and like there's one part where, you know, they're fighting away, and then the shelving is knocked down onto the bride, and you can see her put her hands up to obviously protect her face, because that's what you do. But then you see her hands, and her hands kind of like shudder, because obviously they're going to be wrecked with the glass that's just been smashed into them. It's every little detail of this is so good. And then the two knives get pulled out, and I love this because normally when, you know, like a knife gets pulled out, it's like, oh, it's loads of big action and they're, you know, at each other, whereas this keeps the action there with the little feints forward, but nobody actually goes for it, because obviously if you go for it and miss, if this other person's an assassin as well, they're going to capitalize on your mistake.
It's a good old monkey knife fight.
It is, yeah. But it doesn't let the action settle down, but nothing actually happens. It's just two people standing there, you know, basically in a Mexican standoff. But the action feels like it's going the whole time, because they both keep fainting at each other.
Yeah.
And then we hear the school bus pull up, and the two of them are just looking at each other. And the door opens, the two knives just behind the back.
And the little smiles and all, they're kind of like...
Two of them covered in blood, the house absolutely destroyed.
What happened? We were moving stuff around.
What happened? Your little dog happened. My dog did all this?
I'd love to see what kind of dog it is.
What I love here is that she introduces herself.
Yeah.
And right, I always remember the bleep out being very good. It's not.
No.
Oh, it's not at all.
Now that I know what the bride's name is, which we won't use in this because it's never used in this film, but now that, like, once you've watched Kill Bill 2 and you know her name, you
can kind of hear it.
You can hear it, and you're like, why was that done so badly? Like, is that planned, or was it just really hard?
Bad. It was definitely planned.
I always remember that though, like the scene at the start where we were talking about where she goes, Bill, it's your, but I always thought it stopped at Bill, it's your.
Yeah.
I always forgot that it got to a bit. And
yeah, like, just a little bit, but yeah, it blocks out her name somewhat.
It's questionable.
To be fair, if you haven't seen the second one, it blocks it out enough that you would never actually guess her name.
Exactly.
But they send the little girl off into the other room, and then it's just this real calm. Do you want a cup of tea, like, or something? Like, we'll just go into the kitchen, and you're just like, these two people are literally just killing each other, and they're just
all
like,
right, let's organize at 2:30 tonight. Let's go to the old playground there, and we'll kill each other there.
Yeah. And it's like wear black stockings over your hair and everything so we won't be seen. And
That's Mad Max style.
yeah.
2 women enter, 1 woman leave.
What I like here is that, she tries to play off, like, I know I've done some bad shit, but like I have a little girl now, please, like, just leave me alone. I'm out of the game. And she's like, yeah,
she's taking none of that shit.
And she points out earlier, she's like, oh, I had a baby that would have been around 4 as well. And you're just like, oh, yeah, you're not going to be able to blag your way out of this. Now, I mean, 4 and that girl is on a school bus on her own. That seemed a little bit weird to me.
It's very true. When you think, I actually didn't think of that.
Yeah, I was like, that's a bit weird, but whatever. Maybe that's a thing in the States. It's not a thing over here.
Well, I know you see it in a lot of movies, so I imagine it probably is.
It probably is.
True.
But like, whatever about them being like 5 or 6, because they'd be actually going to school. Like, you're not really going to school at 4.
Not on a bus like that.
Not anywhere. Like, what? Why are they going to school at all? But anyway, they, it looks like everything's calmed down, and she's like, listen, I need to make cereal for my child. Which, again, it's this child's just come home. Why are you making your child cereal at what's presumably around dinner time or at least lunchtime? Cereal is like the breakfast thing, not your. Like, I know as we get older, we can do that, but that is not something you're teaching your children. Yeah, just eat cereal for every meal, lads. Great idea.
Great crack.
It's true.
But she pulls a gun out of the cereal. Well, not out of the cereal, but in the cereal. Yeah. I never see her pick up the gun.
No, it's in the cereal bowl, in the cereal thing, I'd say.
Does that mean that she always has a gun in the cereal?
It's probably, she's an assassin. She probably has that hidden there for a reason.
No, but like what this builds to here is when she pulls that and shoots and misses.
Yeah, how bad an assassin are you?
Yeah. So like when we were saying there, when you go to feint, if you go with the knife and miss, you're going to get capitalized. Probably not by this one.
But I like, she does miss. And I like that the T is kicked across at her. And then the bride just Jack Burton's her straight away. Then just pings the knife at her.
I love that. Check that out in an old episode there for Retrotainment.
One little bit of foreshadowing in that scene is when she pulled out the breakfast cereal. The name of the brand of the breakfast cereal is Kablam.
Yeah.
So it is, yeah. That's Tarantino doing his bit of foreshadowing. There's Kablam. That box goes.
That's Batman. That's Batman in the '60s style.
Exactly.
Also, Tarantino loves cereal because this isn't the only reference to cereal in this film.
He does it in loads.
Exactly. That's what I mean. This man loves cereal because later in this film, he has the silly rabbit tricks are for kids. And you're just like, why is this lad referencing so many cereals? What's his deal? And as Greg said, he does it in loads of films. He just seems to like referencing cereal.
Because even if you think about it in Pulp Fiction, when they arrive to the house and Uma Thurman's having an overdose, Thing's eating a bowl of cereal when he comes in. She comes in.
It's true.
The man loves his cereal. I don't know.
I think this is the only film though, maybe because he counts Kill Bill 1 and 2 as one.
Yeah.
But this part, anyway, I think it's the only film that doesn't have his brand of cigarettes in it.
He has his own brand of cigarettes, does he?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah. If you watch it, all the main characters smoke the same brand of cigarettes in every single one of his films, and it's not a real brand of cigarettes. Red Apple.
I'm trying to think.
Red Apple cigarettes.
Does anybody in this film smoke bud?
Bud does, yeah.
Yeah, but
you don't see a whole lot of them.
I don't know if he's smoking cigars though. Other than cigarettes.
You only see him in this for a minute anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You don't see much of him. But that ends chapter 1, which is called 2. Well, the end is when she comes out to the car and crosses out the name, and we already see that Oren is crossed off the list.
Not quite though. You missed one huge part in that there. When she was bending down to take the knife out, when she comes back up, her daughter's behind her.
Yeah,
I love that interaction, and she's
I love how she doesn't treat her like a child either. It's just like, if you want to come after me in like 18 years, cool.
Which is rumored to be Tarantino's last film.
I did see that, and the daughter,
the daughter coming after the bride.
Carl will Kill Bill Part 3.
Yeah, and Carl will love the casting of the daughter, if rumors are to be believed.
Yeah, it's rumored to be Zendaya.
Yeah, Zendaya is rumored to be the the actress for that, which I think could be very good. I don't know if I don't know if you can call the film Kill Bill after that, because
Bill's dead.
Bill's dead. Yeah, I mean, you can,
we'll have to wait and see. But
maybe you can have Kill Bill and like a big slash through Bill and the bride.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I'd be up for it anyway, because as we said, Tarantino does this stuff well.
The best thing I seen, the best advertisement I seen for this movie was, do you remember, did anyone ever see the picture of the one he had in Hollywood? He had a big billboard up on the side of the building.
The blood spurting out of it.
The sword came down and the blood came squirting out, and someone parked this convertible beneath it.
Oh, Lord.
Sprayed all over it. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, we see chapter 1 end, and then we go back to chapter 2, which is the blood-spattered bride, which brings us all the way back to where the film starts, of the massacre in the church. There's one little scene in this, and it has no real relevance, but when the police car is driving up, like the sheriff,
yeah,
he has like 4 pairs of sunglasses on his dashboard, and he has sunglasses on. I was like, why does this guy have so many sunglasses, and why are they all sitting perfectly on his dashboard the entire time he's driving?
And all different colors as well.
Yeah, exactly, all different colors. What is the story with this man?
Has to look stylish as fuck.
That seems to be his main priority rather than solving crimes. Yes.
Do you know what that like, they're in a small town in Texas. Obviously they mentioned that, but he reminds me of, do you remember when in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when the dad takes over somehow takes over being the sheriff?
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of that kind of sheriff.
It could very well be a throwback to that, because that's something
100% feeling up dead bodies and everything.
Yeah. But
no, Tarantino, it could be the same character.
Could be. But like we see the massacre, and we're told that there's 9 dead here, and then the sheriff comes in and he's like, I think you mean 10. This woman's pregnant, and then he reaches down to touch her face, which is a little bit creepy, and then she kind of spits blood at him, and she's like, oh, well, this one's alive.
Yeah.
Real
She's
casual.
A spitter.
This one's a spitter. She's alive. But the next scene we see her, she's in the hospital and she's basically comatose.
And then you get the
another
whistle.
Yeah, exactly, the whistling song of Ellie Driver. It's just so good. Again, so good.
I think that was the most iconic part of the movie.
Yeah, that was
possibly
that was my ringtone for about 2 years.
Yeah. It's just so good.
Yeah, it's so good. The whole thing, and I love that. Even though that's like a song that continues on afterwards, it's like when Ellie comes in whistling, she's whistling it, and then she stops, but the music still continues, and it gets more ominous as she gets closer and closer. It's so good. And then obviously she comes out. I love that she has the eye patch, but has the hospital cross on it as well. Yeah, it's so good. Like
every little detail that he put into this movie was perfect.
Yeah, but we see her stand over. Now, we never see what it is, but it's obviously some sort of toxin that's going to
fentanyl or something like that.
Yeah, that's going to be injected. And I love that Ellie is like, I'm not going to lie, I never liked you, but I do respect you, which just shows that like this is kind of, even the whole they stopped fighting and we're having the discussion like, okay, we'll go down here and we'll fight it this time. There is this level of respect between all of them.
Yeah.
Even if they don't like each other, they all still have that level of respect.
It was like a family kind of thing.
Yeah, but just as Ellie is about to inject, she gets a phone call from dear old Bill.
Good old Bill.
And he just says, listen, no, after everything we put this girl through, you lot beat the shit out of her. I put a bullet through her head, point blank. Yeah. And she's still fighting. She doesn't deserve to go out like this.
Do you reckon if she's any relation to Tony?
I mean,
if she survives this, let her come after us.
Yeah, I mean, classic bad guy mistake. You had your chance. Just, you should have just killed her. Classic bad guy mistake.
L Driver should have just said, yeah, it was done already there.
Yeah, that's what I'd have done. Yeah, shit, I dead.
Yeah, true.
So I injected that about 2 minutes ago. There's nothing I can do now. Sorry.
Yeah, but as L Driver leaves, we kind of see the bride go back and remember, and we see the bullet being shot at her. And I love this scene where it's from her point of view, and you see the fire surrounding the bullet as it comes out of the gun. It's
brilliant, slow motion.
Yeah, just a great cinematic effect again, which, as you said, Carl, is probably why it got such a good critic rating because of scenes like that.
Like even there though, like when you see it, even when it comes out of the chamber of the gun before the fire comes around it and all, like you see the hammer come down and clock the bullet.
Oh, the whole thing, yeah, it's exactly what you would see if you did record. Well, he obviously did just record it like that, you know.
Yeah, he'd done it on repeat or rewind.
Yeah, it's so good, but that's what wakes her up, and we see that she wakes up, and the first thing she does is obviously the hands go to her stomach, and she realizes
that reaction.
Yeah, it's guttural.
Yeah.
But like she's crying away, and then her assassin nature kicks in, where it's like repress emotions. Now, the one thing that confuses me here is she lifts her hands up, and she's looking at her hands, and then she goes 4 months, and I'm like,
4 years.
4 years.
Oh, is it 4 years?
Yeah,
Sorry,
4 years.
She's like 4 years, and she's looking at her hands. I'm like, how the hell do you know 4 years from looking at your hands? What is going on here?
I literally
she can see the wrinkles.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you know how many wrinkles you're going to get after 4 years? Like, you must really know your own hands by that point. Like,
she's an assassin. Just let it go.
That little bit is a bit much now, to be honest.
I literally said that to Zoe when we were watching it here the other night. I was like, how? Like, you just look and be like, king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
she also knocks on her head, and you can hear the metal plate.
Yeah.
When she bangs on her head.
But it's
obviously from getting shot.
Yeah, that's just one of the weird things that I'm like, okay, maybe you should have had like a chart or something there that she could have picked up and read, like just anything, like, or even a tag on her wrist or something that said, just something that makes it so that it's not just a woman looking at her hand.
Maybe that's what it is, and she can just see the one on her wrist, and we can't see it.
I think you need to, but I think you need to make it a bit more obvious than this woman looking at her hands and going, yeah, 4 years.
Well, even then, like, it wouldn't even have that date on it. Do you know what I mean?
No, but at least you could make the excuse. I think, just somebody looking at their hands and going 4 years is it's a bit much. But then we see, she hears steps. So she pretends to be passed out again. And we get the two real creeps come in here.
Oh, yeah.
Your man from all the Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, it's this whole film, like that part of this is just so creepy, where your man's like, it's $75.
Don't hit her.
Just no punching her, and no hickeys or anything, and he's like,
no marks whatsoever.
Yeah, everything else is fair game. And you're like, man,
how creepy is it? Where he's like, her plumbing doesn't work, so feel free to come up inside it. Like, what the fuck?
It's just the whole concept of it, and like this lad just somebody walked into a hospital. Like, this is a known thing. Like,
good old boy,
it's not like why was this guy coming up to him being like, yeah, I have $75. You got any comatose patients that I can go have sex with? Like, it's just so weird.
He obviously has sent the word around to people, like.
Yeah, old Buck has. Yeah, it's a very weird scene.
My name's Buck, and I like to fuck.
Yeah. But it's a very weird scene. But from how weird the scene is, I do love the bit where your man climbs on top of her, and she just bites down on his lip. The shock the shock in his face is brilliant in that scene. I have to give it to him. Like,
I actually quivered when I watched that. I was like, oh. It's like you can see her ripping it and ripping at it.
Yeah. And then obviously we don't see anything else happen there, but the scene comes back and she is just covered from like her mouth down all over the dressing gown and stuff.
As it would be.
And she just kind of wipes her mouth clean and drops down onto the floor.
And he's dead on the floor.
Yeah. She drops down and she takes the little flick knife out from his belt.
I love her saying there that when she goes to get out of bed, it's like she tries to stand up and the legs just give out.
Yeah. And then we hear
muscle atrophy, isn't it? 4 years of lying.
No, but like she gets out thinking, I'll be able to just stand up, it'd be grand.
Yeah.
And like she goes down in a heap. It's not even a fake fall. It's like
with
something.
Yeah, she just drops like a bag of potatoes. Like, but I love that your man Buck comes like knocking on the door, and he's like, time's up. I'm coming in, ready or not. Like, and she gets the flashback and remembers his name. She's like, that's when she remembers the scene of him coming in and being like, my name's Buck, and I like the fuck. But he comes in and she just cuts his ankle.
Oh no, it's
Lord.
no matter how many films you see that
Tendons.
in.
Yeah,
and you see his foot starting to go forward, and it's just a gap, and you're like, oh no.
What I love here is that when she does get him down on the ground, she's like slamming the door on his head, and she's like, "Where's Bill?" Because she's convinced that Bill has some sort of influence in this hospital, and he's like, "I don't know who Bill is."
Bang.
Like, and like the the pain and like terror in him, where he's like, I don't know who Bill is. Like, I can do nothing to help this woman. Like,
she gonna kill me.
She is gonna kill me. And sorry,
she's struggling to slam the door as well, just because she can't move.
This is when she sees the name Book tattooed on his knuckles. That's when she has the flashback, and she repeats it to him, and then just slams the door on his head, and his body just like quivers. Which is another great scene. And then she takes out the keys with the pussy wagon on the keychain.
He loves that kind of thing, doesn't he? Like even in Pulp Fiction with the Z.
Yeah. And then she takes his glasses.
Yeah, I don't know.
As if that's going to make you any less conspicuous when you're this patient in like blood-covered dressing gown, and all you have is a pair of glasses and a wheelchair that you're just wheeling. Like, yes, you're definitely less conspicuous now that you have those sunglasses.
A Superman on it.
You're definitely less conspicuous with somebody's sunglasses on. But she gets into the back of the car, and she's sitting there, and it's just wiggle your big toe.
The struggle to get into the car.
Yeah, or like the tears in her eyes as she pulls herself into the car. Yeah, it's a great scene.
I love that though, where she's going along the wheelchair and she's looking around for the car. It's like Texas, Texas, Texas. She goes by and she's like,
yeah, that's it.
Big pussy wagon out in the back.
Yeah.
Big outrageous yellow car.
Big pickup, yeah.
Like imagine being a person that was actually driving that around, like, and seriously thinking, I am this shit.
And I work as a nurse in a hospital.
But like even the working as a nurse bit, like that's fine because that's just your job. But like imagine driving around that thinking, not ironic, like unironically, you're thinking, I'm the shit. Everyone's as jealous of me. Like
his name is Book,
and he likes the fuck.
It's so weird. Like imagine being that. Like, but yeah, she gets in the car and there's just this struggle of her trying to get her big toe wiggling. And before it even moves, we get cut to scene 3, which it's a very short scene, but it gives us the background to Ora, and it tells us everything we need to know about Ora Nishi.
What a character.
And like I love this. He switches into like an anime style here, which isn't something he's overly known for.
No, it's the only time he's done anime.
I don't know if he directs this, or if he takes an actual anime director. Like I'm sure he has an input on what happens, but I'm assuming there's an actual anime director in here to, direct.
I'd assume so. I couldn't say, to be honest.
Yeah,
you never know. He's that talented. He probably could have done it himself.
He could have, but I think anime is a very different style of doing things. So I'd be surprised if he did this alone. I'd say he definitely collaborated with somebody. I didn't look this up, but I would imagine he did.
Well, he did. So. If you have to think, he did work on this film for a long time, and he made Pulp Fiction, and then this was the next one that he made. So I mean, there's there's 9 years between those two films. So
yeah, maybe he did, but I would be surprised if he didn't bring in someone with a bit more of an anime background, because it is a different genre.
Although he does seem like a control freak in terms of.
Oh yeah, I don't think I definitely think his hands were all over it in some way, shape, or form, but. I don't know if he did it all himself. Maybe he did. Maybe I'm just not giving him enough credit there. I don't know. But we learned that that Ora Nishi was brought up on a military. Well, she was brought up on a military base by Chinese parents, but brought up in America. So she's American Chinese, which is not overly important at this point in the story, but does become important.
Was later. It not? Wasn't it her father was Japanese, her mother was Chinese, and she was born up on an American base?
Yeah.
I can't remember, but she's considered an American.
Yeah, she has the 3 nationalities, so Japanese, Chinese, and American.
It's a very strange one that, like, if you're born on an American base, doesn't matter what country you're in, you're part of America then.
Yeah. But she she then, we see her hiding under the bed as her family is being attacked, and her dad is brutal in this, like smashing lads' heads into walls and everything.
Yeah.
And then eventually getting cut down by this guy with a samurai sword. Now I seen some theories and stuff online where people think that the character that stabs him is Bill.
Could well be.
Now, see, I was reading through this, and I saw a very good point raised. I cannot remember who raised it. It was just somebody online, and they were like, the Japanese Yakuza is very racist, and that they could not see just an American white guy being let into it and then being let leave.
No,
because
not
he's
at all.
no longer. So I think that that is just a fan theory. Maybe it's something that Tarantino just kind of threw in there, but Tarantino gets very in depth with stuff like this. So I think this is just.
He would have immersed himself in the whole Japanese culture.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't
no way.
think. Yeah, I don't think it is that. But we see that her dad gets stabbed and then collapses down beside her, and then the sword gets stabbed through him again, and then her mother is killed by the actual Yakuza boss at the time.
Yeah.
As he stabs down through the bed. And again, this is a great anime scene where you see the blood like dripping down onto her face.
Seeping through the mattress.
And then it comes down like drops of rain, but it's not just one flow down, it's dropping off all over the place.
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful scene. But then again, it's a little bit weird, but he's like, oh yeah, that boss was
a pedophile.
Like he was known to be a pedophile. So by the time she was 11, she went there and killed him. Like the scene looks very good in terms of how she kills him, and then the security coming rushing in, and she hides under the bed, which again a great throwback to that's what she did when she was younger, and then fires off the shots,
blows their ankles off,
and then shoots your man dead in between the eyes. Like, and this is all while she's 11, and then by the time she's 20, we figure out that she's one of the world's top assassins and things like that. It's a great little story to tell us about how Orenishi becomes this cold-blooded killer, and it's a nice little short piece in anime, and then it switches back to her in the van.
For a lot of stuff that I've seen around this as well, there's a lot saying that like the Yakuza wouldn't let a pedophile be in depth. I know they're involved in crime and this, that, and the other, but apparently they're really serious on what crimes they will and won't do.
Yeah, this is probably stuff that was just maybe a little bit overlooked, which is why maybe that Bill thing is a more correct theory. Maybe this was just something that he was willing to overlook, but I think he would have referenced back a bit more.
Well, there's only one man that'll give you the answer, and he still probably wouldn't give you a straight answer.
No, he wouldn't. He'd tell you one thing, and then he'd tell me the other in the same breath. But like that ends chapter 3 when she's back in the car and she's finally wiggled her big toe, and we see her eventually moving back into the front of the car, and it's like 13 hours later. So she's just been sat in this car park for 13 hours, like getting her legs. I wonder
how nobody has came into that car park. Like there's 2 people dead in that room.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one of them has his lip ripped off. The other one has his ankle torn to pieces and his head crushed in.
And he works there.
They're not going into the coma ward too often.
I would imagine not, but also he is someone who works there.
But you're still talking.
Yeah, but he seemed like an asshole that the other people probably don't want to be around too much.
But you're still talking about 13 hours later, right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Your shift would have been over.
Yeah, it's maybe a little bit questionable, but whatever. She gets the toes moving, and that's when she drives off. We see her board a plane to Japan.
Yeah.
Okinawa.
For chapter 4. So the man in Okinawa, which is clearly a tribute to the Karate Kid.
100%. 100%.
Which is why I was saying that earlier. There probably was a tribute to
Texas
Chainsaw thrown in there. Like it's, the man in Okinawa. That's the only reference to the fact. Like if you've never seen Karate Kid and you don't know what Okinawa is, you would never make that connection. He doesn't make it easy. It's just if you've seen a film in the past, you're like, oh yeah, Okinawa.
When the door opens when she walks into the restaurant, the way he's sitting, the way he's scrubbing, it looks like Mr. Miyagi.
Oh yeah, but there's no there's no direct quote to it.
Yes,
if you've never seen Karate Kid, somehow you would never pick up that this is the Karate Kid. Obviously, like it's so obvious once you've seen the Karate Kid that obviously that's the Karate Kid, but if you hadn't seen it somehow, you would just be like, okay, it's just some dude who lives in Okinawa. Like, I love this scene when she comes in and she's like, she has the little bit of Japanese, and he's like, oh, my English is very good, very good.
He's taking the piss out of her now. It's hilarious.
See, I don't know, like, he kind of is taking the piss, but he kind of also does seem to be like,
he's like, oh, it's a customer.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, like, oh yeah,
it's an American customer.
No matter what she says, she's gonna have money, and I'm gonna be able to be like, oh yeah, you do very good. Like, every word you say konnichiwa. You say that like we say it, like, he's a real pandering salesman. He's like, I'll get you tea. And I love that he's shouting at the lad in the back.
It's so funny. His conversation with your man in the back is hilarious.
Yeah. But I love, because, whenever you see in films where they reference like someone going into somewhere foreign to order food, the person always shouts and it's always really angry. But the idea is that it's not something aggressive. It's just like, the
way they talk,
that's just that their language is it sounds aggressive because you don't know it. But in this, it's super aggressive. He's like, get the fucking tea, you asshole.
I found that to be kind of like a little throw to the way Basil Fawlty was with Manuel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, that's the way I look at it. Every time I look at it, I'm like, you could just see John Cleese and
Manuel. I always just know him as Manuel. I know that's not his real name, but that's all I can see him as.
I can't think of his real name. Andrew something.
Yeah, it's so good though, like the interaction they have, and then your man comes out and he's like, if we were in the army, I'd be a general because I've been doing this so long. And he's like, and if we were in the army, I would be the emperor. And he just like bends his fingers.
And you'd still be getting the tea.
It's warm sake that he tells him to go get. Then he's like, you'd still be getting the warm sake. It's so funny. Like,
I love how your man gets up in her face as well, and he says something to her, and he just walks off.
I love that she doesn't understand. Like, this guy keeps talking Japanese to her, and the other guy keeps telling him like she does not understand Japanese, and your man just keeps talking Japanese at her the entire time she's there. Like, but I love that, like, she's sitting there and he's like, oh, and are you visiting? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm visiting somebody I know. And it's like, oh, an old friend. And she's like, no, I've actually never met him. And your man just kind of is like, oh, and who are you looking for? And she obviously says
Hattori
Hanzo. And what I love is that she's like, Hattori Hanzo, and he's like, you hear his intake of breath, and then you hear
like, no.
But then you hear the tea smashing in the background, because obviously the other guy knows who he is as well. And you just hear the tea smash, and nothing from the other guy, just the tea smashes, and you're just like, uh-oh. And you don't know, is this going to be like a bad reaction?
Yeah.
Or how he's going to react. And your man is just like, how do you know that name? And then he shows her to upstairs, and there's just all these.
She says that she wants some Hanzo steel.
Yeah, he brings
upstairs.
Needs
a Hanzo blade.
There's just all these, like, and aesthetically, again, it looks amazing. All these swords just laid out, and you
feel like it's sacred. You feel like it's a sacred moment. What she's doing.
And I love that she's up there, and he's just on the thing, like he's just perched on the stairs, just looking at her the whole time. Like, he doesn't want to get into the room. It's.
Yeah, he obviously hasn't gone up there in a long time.
Like, he just leaves them there because he as he says, like, this is my life's work. I couldn't throw it away, but I don't do this anymore. And she's like, I'll just take one of these, and he's like, I'm not selling. She's like, I didn't say I'd buy.
Yeah, she's a bit of an arsehole.
But she also asks, like, she's all very respectful about the whole thing. She's like, asking for permission to touch the sword. Yeah. And then he's just like, no, try the second one down. That'll suit you better.
Yeah.
He just knows, like, he's just he's
the best of the best. Like, that's the idea. And just before we came on air, obviously, I mentioned to you, Carl, like, this Hattori Hanzo is actually a Japanese figure. Like, he's believed to, I don't know if he's actually believed to be, or if it actually was an old ninja warrior back in the day. So this character is based off someone real.
Yeah.
Which I just think, again, it shows Tarantino's knowledge of, like, his actual
the research that he does.
He puts the research into this, so like no stone kind of gets left unturned when he's doing this. But Hattori Hanzo tells her, I don't do it anymore, and she's like, no, I need a blade, and considering the reason I need it is an old student of yours, I'd say you more than need to make that blade. And he just goes over to the window with the kind of dew on the window, and just writes it, Bill. And he's just like, it'll be 1 month. And I love the idea that Bill was over here and that's his ex-student. I just love the idea.
There's
that
a
that's
picture
it.
of him in the window, though, is there not?
There is, yeah. And that's I love that, he's an ex-student, and that's how she knows Tori Hanzo. Like,
but then surely
you can stay in this room for the next month. Just give
you'll
me
need
that
to
time.
practice. Yeah, you'll need to practice. But it's so good. Like, and as we said, like, he has quite a small scene in here. Like, his actual interaction is quite small, but it's very pivotal to the rest of it. And we see him presenting her with the blade and saying that, revenge is a dark path and it's not one you should go down. And he says, this is the finest sword I've ever made.
But he's broken his sacred vow to God that he swore 28 years ago that he wouldn't make another thing to kill.
Yeah,
but he said he's broken his vow.
Yeah, and he says that if you came across God, if you came across God, this weapon would cut him down. Like, that's how. Like, this is the best of the best he's ever made, and he even says he's like, not to be, bragging about my own work, but this is the best blade I've ever made. Which, again, a little bit hard to believe that someone would know that without having been used, but it's a nice little.
It looks pristine as well.
Yeah, it looks brilliant. Yeah. But she gets back on the plane, and I love, again, she goes up and she just asks for a ticket. It just slams down, and it just, she's just on the plane.
Do you know what's weird here, though? She's walking through the airport with the sword in her hand.
That's what I was going to say. Do you know what's weird here? She gets on the plane, and beside her on the seat is this sword. Yeah, you're going to be allowed on a plane with a bloody samurai sword sitting next to you, aren't you?
Post 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing is just like, that's a little bit weird, I suppose. But
I suppose this is probably where things get marked down.
Yeah, maybe. I think the idea is that she never goes anywhere without the sword from here on in. So this is when we move to chapter 5, which was the showdown at the House of Blue Leaves, which is the restaurant.
Yeah.
This is where we get introduced. She looks back on, she's driving along on the motorbike, and we see her pull up beside Sophie on the phone, and we see another flashback to when she's getting beaten up by all of the Vipers, and Sophie's on the phone. She's like, they're in a meeting right now. Can I get them to call you back?
Yeah.
It's so funny. And
Sophie's
her lawyer, her lawyer friend.
Yeah, exactly. And her number 2, but like, she's the number 2, but doesn't actually
do anything.
Like, she can't defend herself. She's got none of that ability. And we get introduced to the rest of them. She rose to power with the Crazy 88s. Her personal bodyguard is this teenager called Go-Go. The head of the Crazy 88s is I can't remember what his name is. Doesn't really matter. He's just kind of one of the Crazy 88s, really. They only make him
fella.
They only kind of make him the head of the Crazy 88s so that they can have that final battle with him. Because it could have been anyone, really. But I love this. Like, they walk in, and she's we hear they're in this board meeting, and it's like she rose to be the head of the entire Yakuza of all Japan. And we see that all the Yakuza bosses are sitting around, and she's just been crowned the head. And there's one mafia boss, and he just doesn't like it, and he's like, you've let this filthy, you've stained this, what our fathers worked for. Like, I love this table more than I love my children and stuff, which a bit much, man. You love this Chinese mafia or the Japanese Yakuza more than you love your children. That's a little bit much, mate. But he insults her by saying that we let this Chinese American become the head of the Yakuza. Our fathers would be disgusted. And she just runs along the table and just cuts his head off. It's just so quick as well. Like,
I love her speech there, though. She's like, anything can be, any questions or anything, but don't bring up my heritage.
Yeah, I love it. What is it? It's like if you ever feel that I'm doing something wrong, please bring it to my attention, and I will convince you as to why what I'm doing is right. No subject will ever be taboo, except of course the subject that was just in question.
Yeah.
The subject of my heritage. The price
While holding the head.
the price you will pay for that is that anyone who insults my hair, that brings up either my American or Chinese heritage in a negative way, I will collect your fucking head. Just like this fucker right here. I love it. It's such, and it as I said on the soundtrack, after this is when we get the ode to Oren, which I wish was in the film, but I don't know how they would have worked it into the film either, to be honest. But it's so good.
That establishes Oren Ishii as an absolute badass.
Yeah, no, like, and what I like is that none of the other
Beast
mafia
mode.
bosses were even questioning her before this. It's not like she needed to do this big brutal showing of power. He was the only one questioning her. Like, she could have gone over and cut off his hand and it would have had the same effect. She was just like, oh, you're the head of part of the mafia? Or part of the Yakuza? I'm the head of the whole Yakuza. And I'm going to take your head because I can, and nobody can stop me. It's
Pretty much,
insane. Like, but yeah, we get to, they're all in this restaurant, and they're just giving the staff a hard time. They call your man who owns it Charlie Brown. You know who you remind me of? Charlie Brown. Ha ha ha.
Your man hasn't a notion who that is.
Your man doesn't know, and the woman who's presumably his wife clearly doesn't, and she's just like, ha ha ha, yes, Charlie Brown, ha ha ha, he does look like Charlie Brown, and she's just like, I don't know who Charlie Brown is. What are they talking about? But
they're also very nervous because they know one wrong move and they're dead.
Yeah, and what I like is that one of the people in the entourage is like, we want pizza, and he's like, we don't serve pizza, and he's like, I don't care what you serve, go get me pizza.
Yeah.
You best believe they'd be running to get pizza.
Yeah, but obviously Sophie goes off to the bathroom here, and the bride is sitting in the bathroom in one of the stalls here, and it cuts back to Oren Ishii and all of them sitting there, and you just hear the shout of Oren, and everything goes quiet.
There's a moment before this.
There's a moment
before this when the bride goes up the stairs and Oren senses something and she throws a dagger backwards and it goes through the thing and it just flies by the bride's face.
Oh yeah.
And she jumps up into the rafters, and then Gogo comes out, and I love that Gogo comes out, and like normally in a film you'd see like Gogo comes out, looks around, takes down the thing and walks straight back in. Gogo comes out with the knife, and she stands there for like, it's
about a minute.
She's there a good 30 seconds. Then she takes the weapon out of the frame, and continues to stand there for like 30 seconds. And you're like, that is how you should. Like, if you're the security guard, you don't just come out and go, yep, nobody here, and go back in.
But you can see the bride struggling
to stay up, shaking. Like,
you also see the husband and wife, the servers going in the other side or coming out the other side.
Yeah. But
that's to try and make you go, well, was that them that she heard? Or he tries to play it off on you.
Yeah, you see people moving around upstairs as well, and she's just like, oh, maybe she just heard something. That's fine. There's nobody here.
It's a beautiful looking scene that it's kind of signature Tarantino kind of filming just after that. So she goes down to the bathroom to get herself changed out of the biker gear. But the way Tarantino films it is he goes for the above shot. And like so you're just looking downwards as if looking over the roof, kind of the Sims shot or whatever it is. And you can just see everything like that. And that's kind of become a signature Tarantino thing. He does that in Inglourious Basterds, which is a beautiful shot in that film as well.
Yeah.
But you see that there, and it's just perfect Tarantino filming, I think. And then that's when you see the number two walking into the bathroom.
Sophie walks in, and then she brings her out, and she has, she calls Oren out.
The phone goes off, doesn't it? Isn't it? Is it the phone?
The alarm.
Or her alarm goes off, yeah.
Yeah.
Or so her phone, and then you hear
the phone does go off, yeah.
You see
it.
Yeah.
But she comes out, and she has she has Sophie sitting there, and Oren comes out and looks down and can see Sophie there with like kind of a bloody lip and stuff. And I like that the bride's head just kind of slides out to the side.
It's me.
Hey guys.
Hey, pal.
But Oren is just like kind of looking at her, and then just the arm gets chopped off Sophie, and there's just blood spurting everywhere, like absolutely everywhere, and everyone goes running out. Like all the patrons are gone, which
You just seen someone get their arm chopped off. You know shit's about to go down.
This woman has literally just chopped the arm off of the Yakuza bosses. Number two. Like,
yeah, I'm getting the fuck out of there too.
I'm done. Like, forget about my dinner, forget about anything. I'm gone. But I like that, Oren just kind of looks down. She goes, deal with her. And, like the first 2 or 3 guys run down and they're just pathetic. Like, or the first guy jumps down
over the wall.
He does the flip over the barricade and all, and just gets decimated. It's just like, oh.
Well, they also show off the blade at this point, because your man has a sword and it just gets chopped, and the blade breaks in 3 different places. So it shows how strong this
but like
this blade is.
She dispatches of these like first few members of the Crazy 88s so quickly.
She does the thing. She does the thing with her blade as well, doesn't she? Where she flicks it to show off the Hanzo sign.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit later when she shows it to Oren. She doesn't show her here, but like she dispatches of these guys that are there, and they're all terrible. And then we get to Go-Go, who has the mace or the ball and chain sort of like mace thing, and it's just insane. Like, and she gives a good showing of herself. Like she kicks the thing and it hits the bride in the chest and knocks the sword out to the side and stuff like that.
It's a fairly amazing weaponry fight that with a sword against, well, what you could only say is a mace.
I think there is an actual name for it.
There is a name for it.
I can't think of it. But then like the fight seems to be going the way of Go-Go, and then she manages to like deflect the ball back into Go-Go's chest, which knocks her to the ground. And you're like, okay, now the bride has got it. Now the bride's got her.
Now she's
and then then the blades come out around it, and like fair play to you on Go-Go, because even with these blades that are coming out of this thing, she's like swinging it around her neck and all. I was like, man, one wrong move from this one, and like
you're gone.
Her whole neck is going to get cut open by her own weapon. That is insane.
Some weapon, though.
Yeah, but she fires it across and it gets stuck in the like this.
The beam.
Just one beam, but it's caught around the neck of the bride.
It does take. She does hit her with it first.
Oh, she hits her with it first. Yeah.
Yeah, it chops her hair on the back. It cuts right across her back.
Yeah.
Her good yellow tracksuit.
Yeah, but then like when she has it around her neck, and I love this, like Go-Go is like tightening it and keeps tightening it, and it's just looking like it's like, okay, this is over. This young upstart Go-Go, who's like meant to be like 17, is just brutal, like complete. And we've seen how brutal she is in the earlier scene where she's out with the young lad, and she's like, do you want to have sex with me? And he's like, yeah. She's like, why are you laughing? So he stops laughing and he's like, yes. So she just stabs him. You're just like, okay.
That works.
This one's a bit insane. You definitely stay away from her. But it looks like it's going her way. And then the old trusty, I got a piece of wood with some nails in it, and I'm going to crack you in the noggin with it.
It's worse though, because she hits her in the foot with it first, and you can just feel that.
Yeah. And he lingers there for long enough that you see the blood coming out of the foot as well. Like, that's a great shot, to be honest. The shoe going from like clean white, like brand new shoes, never used, and then they're just bloodied, and then just cracked in the side of the head, and then you see the blood like coming out of her eyes and everything. It's a great scene again.
Vicious. Yeah,
but this is when she thinks she has Oren, and she's like, "We ready to go?" And you can just hear the motorbikes and stuff, and Oren's like, "You didn't think it would be this easy, did you?" And she's like,
"I love where she goes to Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown, go!" And you see him waddling his way out.
Why is that guy still there? Like, why was he still standing upstairs?
Yeah, and then Oren
probably safer up there.
Yeah.
Oren then puts the knife into the banisters.
Yeah, and she just says, "You didn't think it would be that easy." And the bride is like, "I kind of thought it would." And all the Crazy 88s show up here now.
How many of them do you reckon is actually there, lads? Because
I reckon there's actually, like, if you count them all, like in terms of like who she kills and like when she kills them, I reckon there probably is 88.
Knowing Tarantino, there probably is.
Knowing Tarantino, I'd say he very much made sure there was 88, and that would include the ones that were killed a little bit earlier.
Yeah, chopped up and
but now, like in the scene, there's definitely not 88 people there. But then she kills all of those, and more of them still keep coming. So
they just keep piling in.
Yeah. But I love that. Like, this is the scene where she's standing in the middle of that floor, and they're all around her. I love that she takes her blade and she has it held up in front of her, but she can see the reflection of the people behind her in the blade. It's a very smart shot.
Yeah, she has a full vision of what's happening.
She can see everything that's going on around her because of this. And it's just a bloodbath from here. Like, she decimates nearly all of these. Only the head of the 88 seems to get in a few shots on her. Everyone else just gets battered around by her.
Oh, like, it's just mental. Arms, legs,
yeah,
stabbings, choppings.
The bit when she drops to the ground and just starts swinging around on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's just like taking legs and like taking ankle from the ankle down off, or if somebody had bent down, like their arm was coming off and stuff. It's like, obviously that would never actually work because someone would just come over and just stab you.
Yeah, you might take out a couple, but that was going to be it.
Like, the visual of it is very, very good.
Very Matrix-like, wasn't it, when he done the one with the stick against the Agent Smith?
Yeah, but what I like is that while all this is happening, it's kind of getting bloodier and bloodier and bloodier, and then it moves up the stairs a little bit, and it goes into black and white, and it's just like...
It goes into black and white when she grabs someone's eye out.
Yeah.
She does that and just takes someone's eye out, and suddenly it goes black and white.
Yeah, and what I love there is it goes black and white, and it's just like, okay, it's like Tarantino telling you, like, shit is about to really go down now, because I'm all about blood and gore everywhere, but even I think this is a bit much. I know that's not what he's actually saying, but it's like that's the impression he's giving you. It's like, yeah, lads, you're about to see some shit.
I've seen that scene not in black and white.
It doesn't look as good, I wouldn't say.
It's not as good. It's really not. The black and white kind of adds to it, on the special edition. Special edition, there's the special features and you can see it.
Yeah.
The black and white definitely adds to that scene.
Oh no, it definitely does add to it. But even though it actually adds to it, I think the idea in the film is meant to be that, this is too gory.
Oh yeah, of course.
So we had to put it in black and white because that's what they do in, live television if someone gets really bloody.
That's what I was going to say. WWE must have hired this.
Yeah, they're like, just black and white this out so it doesn't look as bad. But yeah, it's so good. And the plucking of the eye, again,
perfect.
It ties into a later part of this film, which also happens to be an earlier part of the film. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's just so good. Like, the whole battle scene, and then she gets upstairs and she goes into that room where she thinks Orenishi is, and she's not there anymore. And it goes from being black and white because she blinks, and it goes back. So it's like it went black and white for her because she just got into like the killing zone. And like she'd mentioned earlier that, as an assassin, you need to put everything aside, like no feelings, no remorse, no anything. You're just a killing machine. And it's like when she got in there, that's the zone she was in.
Until she gets to that young lad.
No, well, a few more of the lads come in and the lights go out, so she fights them in the dark and again batters them. And then that one young lad's left standing there with his knife and he's like with his sword and he's just like shaking. And she cuts the top of it off and he just keeps standing there. She cuts the next bit off and the next bit, and he just drops the sword. And she just puts him over her knee and just spanked him with her sword.
Don't mess with knives.
This is what you get for joining the Yakuza. Now go home to your parents.
I love that.
I love that he runs out and there's all these people like just chopped up on the floor in bits. Now, obviously, the only person left here is the head of the Crazy 88s, and she fights him along the banisters.
Yeah.
And eventually, he makes.
There's really good wire work here as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
It looks great, but like again, as we said earlier, you're fighting somebody who's meant to be a skilled fighter. You make one wrong move, they're going to capitalize, which is what happens. Yeah. He lunges, misses, and that's the end of him. Like, and he drops into this pool that was, a great aesthetic looking pool earlier, and now it's
Not
just
so
this
much.
blood red pool, like.
Yeah.
And I love she stands at the top and she's like, as she's standing up there at the top, the wife of Charlie Brown comes out and she's like, "Oh, my restaurant." And I'm like, "What are you still doing there?
Why
Like,
are you still here?
literally 89 people have just been killed here, and one woman had her arm cut off earlier. Why are you, like, what possible reason do you have still to be here?"
I love how she shouts down to Sophie as well. She's like, "So you gonna stay there, Sophie?"
Yeah, she shouts down to everyone. Any of you who are lucky enough to still have your lives can take them and leave. But any limbs you lost, leave them here. They belong to me. I mean, what's she going to do with all those limbs? I don't know. Maybe she's going to sell them on the black market. I have no idea. But a lot of legs and arms and stuff were chopped off. So
Oh yeah.
But
a lot of product.
Sophie's not allowed to leave though.
Yeah, except you, Sophie. You stay there. I mean,
I'll be back.
I'm telling you now, if I was Sophie, right,
Gone.
the second she walked through that door after Oren, I'd be like, either Oren is going to kill her, and in which case I'm safe, and I've just watched this woman kill 88 people, or kill or maim 88 people, so maybe she's going to have a decent chance against Oren. So I'm just going to leave. I'm going to get in my car, and I'm going to leave.
Do you think with the amount of blood flow that came out after the first chop, she'd be dead almost fairly quickly?
But we get out to see, this is where we see the bride, you know, she goes out into this, and this is actually my favorite scene, is when she opens the door to this snowy outside, and you can just see the whole thing. Oren's not there, like you just see that scene. It just looks so nice. But obviously then she does meet Oren, and Oren's like, "Where did you get your blade?" And she's just like, "Hattori Hanzo." And I love Oren's response, "Liar." Like,
yeah, it just goes to a facial shot, and her eyes widens.
Yeah, and like she can't believe it now. The theory is that she also has a Hattori Hanzo blade.
They all do.
Because she is the head of the Yakuza, so she's obviously, it's been handed down and stuff, because he obviously hasn't made weapons in 28 years. So obviously this is like an heirloom that gets handed down, and you know, whoever's the boss gets the best weapon, and that's the best weapon there is. But I like that the swords are very distinctively different. Like her one doesn't have the like handle sort of thing.
Yeah, it's straight down.
It's just a smooth blade. Like the handle to the blade is smooth. There's no rounded bit on it.
Yeah, it's like there's no hand protector thing on it.
Yeah, but they get into their little scrap, and it looks like before they even start, Oren says to her, she's like, "The Tory steel never tires, but you've just been through a massive fight. Do you still think you have what it takes to take me?" And I mean, she's not wrong. You've just fought 88 people, or 89, including Gogo, and Gogo got a few very good shots in on you. I'd be feeling pretty confident here if I was, you know, a trained assassin like Oren. But they go for the fight, and Oren, in a very weird scene. I suppose it's not weird considering what the shoes are. They're just little blocks under your feet, so you probably would need to take them off. But your toes would be killing you walking around in the snow in bare, like just in your socks. Like, first of all, you've got wet socks. Nobody likes that, right? First of all,
worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, and second of all, your toes are going to be frozen walking in that snow.
Then you have the question: is it real snow?
Presumably, it is.
Presumably, yeah.
Well,
it doesn't give you any reason not to think that it's not.
It looks like it is also snowing at the time, sort of.
Yeah.
So presumably it well, like it's probably not actually real snow in real life.
No, but
film-wise, I would say, yeah. Film-wise, I would say it's meant to be real snow.
Just for what happens after this.
Yeah.
Your question: is it real snow, or is it just put there?
I would. My guess would be that it's real snow, because why else would it be there, sort of thing.
No, but you know the scene I'm talking about, which we'll get to now in a minute.
Yeah, I know, but just it would be questionable. Why would, like, other than that happening, why would the owners of this restaurant have an outside garden that they had covered in snow?
To aesthetically please people.
Maybe, but it'd be very hard to keep that up all year round, I suppose. But
True.
The fight scene does start, and it looks like, you know, Oren was right. Tiredness is just going to get the better of her, because Oren gets the first shot in very easily.
Yeah, landed on the shoulder, isn't it?
Yeah.
And she does do a big slice across her back.
Yeah, it's a
Oh, that's
huge
what it is,
slice
yeah.
across the back. And as the bride is lying on the ground, Oren just says, "You might not fight like a warrior, but you will die like one." Which is basically saying, you'll die on your feet, get back up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of respect again.
Again, yeah, this is the underlying theme between all of them. This is the respect. And then obviously the bride says, "Come at me with everything you've got." And she gets the next shot in, which is like a cut on Oren's kind of stomach. And again, the two of them just stand there. And
Well,
just
you see the blood trickling down then onto her feet.
Yeah, which is another great shot. Like, but the two of them are standing there, and again they're discussing, and Oren is just like, "I apologize for my previous statement that you're not skilled. I was clearly wrong." And she's like, "Oh, apology accepted." Like, just as if you're apologizing for it. Sorry, I cut you off in traffic there earlier, lads. Like, yeah, not sorry that I just cut your body up and said, yeah, you're shit at fighting. Like,
Be a
but like
bit of crack.
the two of them are standing there, and it's just like, this is where the whole film is built to, is this final fight scene. And so far we've seen, I'd say, about 8 strokes of the sword, 2 of which have landed, and the two of them are just standing there, and they're like, "Are you ready to continue?" And I'm good to go. I'll go again. Yeah. And it's over, and then in the next
2 minutes,
like
the next
2 or 3
stroke of the sword, isn't it?
I think there's 1 or 2 kind of like fake out strokes, but the next actual stroke, we just see the scalp of Oren fly off, and you're just like, this was the whole battle scene that this was leading to, was this. But that's the whole point. Like, that's the point of it. It's about skill, not about like sheer brutality or brute force. Landing the strike that matters. And I mean, cutting someone's scalp off really does matter, because you can see her brain.
Let's get over, man.
Yeah. But
you see her then just drop to her knees, and then it's just sliced right across.
Yeah.
Fatality.
What I like here is that when that I can't remember if it was. It's just after this happens, she's like, it is Hattori steel. Like, now she's finally realized.
She said, "This really is the best."
Oh, it really is It really is a Hanzo. Yeah, like, it's so good. But obviously then, you think the film's over, but it's not over just yet, because she goes back into Sophie and she's like, "Now you get into the back of this car. We're going to drive up here, and I'm going to throw you down into the hospital." But
this is where I was saying, because there's no snow there.
Yeah, I suppose maybe it's just that they clean their roads very well.
But even going down the hill.
Yeah, true.
That's the only reason I think it's not real snow.
I think that's possibly just something that's overlooked.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, it's just it was beautiful looking with snow. So it's like, we're making it with snow.
Yeah.
Tarantino, what kind of weather do you want in it? Snow. Yeah. Why snow? Why?
Normally when you see
something with the white and the red, I'd say.
Yeah. See, that's what I was going to say. But like, normally when you see that, you would see like this big blood spatter across the snow. You don't really get that in this.
The only one you see is when he slices her on the back, and you see it run down her tracksuit. And when it runs down Oren's leg.
Yeah,
but it's very like old Japanese movies, which is where he took the inspiration from.
Exactly.
They don't. It's not all vicious and gore. It is very much like this, this final fight.
Yeah, but like, normally, when you see films with like snow and there's going to be blood, there's like this big line of blood, and they don't go with that, which is, I like that they didn't go with that. I like that it was a more centralized cut, and that the blood is like a little pool at their foot or just dribbling down their back and stuff. But
even when her scalp comes off, it
just lands in the thing, and there's no blood. It's just the scalp on the
ground. Yeah.
On the ground. Yeah. But she has Sophie in the back of the car, and she opens it, and she's like, "I've kept you alive for 2. I've let you keep your wicked life for 2 reasons. 1, for information, which, makes sense. I want to know where the rest of the people who I'm planning to kill are. Where's Bud? Where's Ellie Driver? And where's Bill? Makes sense. Why would you kill somebody who has that information? Of course, you're going to keep that. And 2,
And
So,
Vivica A. Fox actually as well, because she wasn't
she
dead at this time.
She wouldn't be dead at this point, so she gets that one, and that's the next person that she obviously goes and kills. And then she's like, and 2, so you can go back to Bill and tell all of them that I'm coming for them. Yeah, and I love this. She says it, and then she just kind of throws her down the hill to the hospital. And we see Sophie sitting with Bill, and she's like, I'm really sorry. I know I shouldn't have. I didn't want to tell her and stuff like this. And, like, Sophie is terrified, and you're just like, Jesus. Like, after what this woman has clearly been through to have given that information, and she's still shitting it with Bill, you're like, Jesus, how scary is Bill? Like, what?
Yeah.
What sort of monster is this guy that this woman is petrified, sitting there with her arm cut off, having just been brutalized by the bride for this information?
We don't know if it's just her arm.
We know it's definitely the arm at the very least.
The bride is threatened. Because the bride does say, for any bit of information that I ask and you don't tell me, I'm going to cut something off.
Yeah, but we know at the very least it's an arm.
Yeah, it's at least an arm. But he does a very smart camera shot that he uses. You only see her chest and her head. You don't see anything else, so you don't know if both arms are gone or
you see one.
Something else is gone.
When she's tumbling down, you can see one arm.
Yeah, well, that's because we know that the one arm is. But while she's sitting with Bill, you can only see the upper body.
Yeah.
And you can't tell if is another arm gone, is a leg gone. The only thing you can tell
is the forearm gone or something.
Yeah, the only thing you can tell is that her face is a little bruised up, and you're like, well, that could have been from getting thrown down a hill as well, I suppose, really. But Bill,
don't forget, she did come out of the bathroom with a bloody lip and everything. So
exactly,
she took a couple of slaps along the way.
Yeah. But I like that, Bill is sitting there and he's just behind her, and he's like, "Don't worry, Sophie, it's fine." And Sophie's just like, "I'm sorry, I had to tell her. And he's like, does she know that the baby is still alive?
Boom. Ends.
And it ends. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, there's a rush to go see number 2, because what a cliffhanger to leave this on. Like, you could have ended it without that little scene, and people would still have been rushing to go see it, because they'd be like, man,
that first one was unreal.
That final fight scene between Oren and the bride was so good. And, you need to find out what the bride's name is. You're like, what's the bride's real name? What's her real name?
Yeah.
You needed to know. But just to leave it to that bit to be like, does she know her child is still alive? You're like, oh, shit. Which means Bill did have some influence in that hospital.
Well, yeah, I'd say he got the baby cut out. He was like, it's my baby.
No, but that's the point. That means the other way she was terrified that, where's Bill?
Yeah.
To the orderly. That means that Bill did have an influence in that hospital.
Well, not necessarily.
No, he would have been
be
the
told
father.
that he's the father. She's in a coma. She can hardly take care of him. Take care of the kid. So he would just.
You call it the court and you get it, yeah.
But would he, like, the natural assumption probably would have been that, the person she was marrying was the father. So he had to come in and be like, that's my child.
Yeah, well, they could have done DNA tests.
Yeah, all he would have done there, it left that it's given him that he has power in the hospital.
Yeah.
Theoretically, all he has to do is go to a courthouse and be like, that's my baby.
No, like, I'm sure that, like, it would have been easier for him to do it, but it gives you the illusion that there is a sense that he had some influence. And especially how easily Ellie Driver got in.
Yeah, she just walks in.
Just walked in, no bother. So you're kind of like, does he have...
That song is just...
You're like,
it's iconic.
Does he have some sort of power there? I don't really know. And it leaves you just buzzing for part 2. You're just like, man,
Is that the same hospital that she was in that Sophie went to?
Possibly. Well, no, because the one that Sophie...
the one that Sophie goes to is
definitely in Japan.
Yeah.
Sophie has either come back from Japan to be at Bill's, or Bill has flown over to Japan. But it looks like Sophie is in Bill's house rather than Japan, so...
True.
Either way, we don't know, and it just leaves you, like, for the second one, you're just like, okay.
It was 2 years or so, or 3 years, was it, for the second one?
I can't remember how long it was, but, like...
I think 2005, I think.
Yes, 2 years, but, like,
2 years.
What an opening film. And as you said, Carl, like, the first film he'd made in 9 years since Pulp Fiction, and what a return that is, like.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine he had to come back with, say, maybe Death Proof, which wasn't his best work? Death Proof's not bad.
It's his worst one, though.
I don't know. I prefer Dead Proof.
I like Dead Proof, but it's his worst one.
Oh, rating wise and all it is, I'd still prefer to watch that than watch Jackie Brown.
Oh, I love Jackie Brown.
I don't know. I never really got into it. Like, it's a good movie. I just never really bought into it.
Yeah, I think it's just a personal preference, really, isn't it? Like, the thing is that even if it's his worst one, it's not bad.
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of the main thing.
You find me a director that has, say, only done 10 films and not one of them's a bad one.
Exactly, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, another fantastic pick, Carl. The last time you were on here was for your favorite film, Ferris Bueller.
Shite movie.
One of the more favored episodes from what we've heard back from comments and things. So
as I've said on previous episodes, that's my favorite episode.
Yeah,
and I'm not even on it.
Yeah. So we'll see if your second choice of film is as popular as your first choice.
It's probably certainly a bigger movie.
I would say this is a bigger film, yeah.
Yeah, this is a bigger movie.
We'll see, is it as popular when people watch it? But that's it for this week. Follow us, like, subscribe, and all that stuff on the Dynamo Podcast Network. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Retrotainment1. And Carl is obviously on with us for Retrotainment Recast, and then he has his own show, the Sherlock Reel, which we feature on, I would say, 90% of.
If not more.
Have you not been on them all, Ted?
No, I missed one.
Yeah, I think there's only been one you've missed, isn't there?
I definitely missed rom-coms.
Good.
And then there would have been women in iconic female roles, because it was an all-female all-female cast for that.
I must have missed that one as well.
That was the one that
the thing with
Silence of the Lambs one, wasn't it?
With who?
Silence of the Lambs.
I think Silence of the Lambs did win the iconic female roles. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I think it was.
If it was rom-coms, I'll tell you that Mean Girls would have won if I was on it for rom-coms, because it's the best. It's just so funny.
10 Things I Hate About You won that.
It's not a bad movie either.
That's actually quite good as well. I don't think Mean Girls was on your list, because I think if Mean
Girls went out in the first round.
That's insane. It's the best of them. That's just.
No, I think it did go out to 10 Things. So
maybe even still, I still think Mean Girls should be winning that. But anyway, that's over at the Sherlock Reel. I believe it's the same on. It's at Carl Sherlock on Twitter. I'm not
Carl
sure.
Sherlock on Twitter, at Carl Sherlock 91 on Instagram.
And we have obviously the Retrotainment at Retrotainment1 on Instagram as well.
Yeah,
and then we have an episode that went up last night on the Slab Horror Show on Ghostbusters.
Yeah, exactly.
On the Dynamo. Check that out.
That's on the Dynamo Podcast Network as well. But that's it for this week. So good luck.